There's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. I think it will be the United States. It's a way for us to enrich ourselves and emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It's also a way for us to ensure that we're the economic leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. And if we do that, every one of our allies will follow us, and then all of our enemies will end up having to buy into the network once it passes 10 or 20 million a coin, and they will enrich us.
The next 7 days could change lives. This is where millionaires are made. Ignore this at your own risk. Right now, the market is quiet, sentiment is bearish, and that's exactly when the biggest opportunities arise. Don't make the mistake of tuning out. April 2nd is the day to watch. Trump's tariff decision is set to shake things up. Volatility is coming, and with it, a potential breakout. One thing is crystal clear. The market is on the brink of a major trend shift upward. Liquidity is returning. Some analysts believe Bitcoin has already bottomed, while a larger consensus agrees that we are firmly in the bottoming zone. That's a bullish sign. It might feel counterintuitive to buy when fear dominates, but history shows that when negativity peaks, opportunity is at its highest. Look at the bigger picture. Crypto is in a vastly different position than in any previous cycle. The difference? Institutional power. The world's most influential financial players are backing it.
Question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund. That was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, but it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin.
The United States, home to the largest capital markets on the planet, is aligning with crypto in ways we've never seen before. This isn't speculation. It's happening in real time. The forces supporting this industry are stronger than ever.
You're embracing crypto, very different from the previous administration. Strategic Petroleum Reserve like for crypto?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to do something great with crypto because we don't want China or anybody else, and not just China, but others are embracing it, and we want to be the head.
Key members of the Trump administration are not just talking about crypto. They own it, they support it, and they are positioned to drive massive adoption. Take Paul Atkins, the newly appointed SEC chair.
Since 2017, I've led industry efforts to develop best practices for the digital asset industry. I've seen how ambiguous and non-existent regulation of digital assets create uncertainty in the market and inhibit innovation. A top priority of my chairmanship will be to work with my fellow commissioners in Congress to provide a firm regulatory foundation for digital assets through a rational, coherent, and principled approach.
Or Scott Bessant, the new Treasury Secretary, both of whom have a deep understanding of digital assets and market evolution.
Everything's on the table with Bitcoin. I've been excited about the president's embrace of crypto, and I think it fits very well with the Republican Party, the ethos of crypto's about freedom. And the crypto economy is here to stay. I think that everything's on the table with Bitcoin. And to me, one of the most exciting things about Bitcoin is for a generation of investors who maybe post the great financial crisis have been looking for investment opportunities, or maybe they'd soured on markets. Crypto is bringing in young people. It's bringing in the people who haven't participated in markets, and having a market culture in the U.S. and people believing that markets work for them is a centerpiece of capitalism.
Then there's Howard Lutnick, the new Commerce Secretary, another name tied to crypto-friendly policies.
The asset of Bitcoin will just, as it becomes more accepted, it will become more valuable. I have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars exposure to Bitcoin. And it will be billions.
I was going to say, so next year when you come back, and we'll do this again, and you'll be a Bitcoin billionaire.
Every time Bitcoin dips, I'm going to be the buyer.
And that's just scratching the surface. Behind the scenes, influential figures are moving the chess pieces. And one of the most notable is Michael Saylor. As we know, Saylor has long-standing ties to Trump's circle and understands the macro landscape better than almost anyone.
You know, I've known Michael Saylor for 20 years. I think I even said to Michael Saylor in the early years, Michael, I don't get this stuff. I mean, I know you love Bitcoin. I don't get it. If I can't feel it, if I can't see it. If you want to talk about a great champion for this industry, it's Michael Saylor. That guy deserves all the credit in the world. There's very few people who are smarter, and there are very few people who are better cheerleaders for an industry that clearly he believes in. He's a national treasure to the United States, and frankly, he's a national treasure to this world.
Saylor has hinted at something big, a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States. If this happens, it won't be a small move. It will be massive. And based on his track record, when he talks, it's worth paying attention. What if Trump executes it exactly as Saylor describes? I want to hear your thoughts.
Our enemies would hate us, but our allies would complain too. And the U.S. would make $100 trillion in a heartbeat.
You said people should sell their gold to buy Bitcoin. That's what the act proposes. How should the government be thinking about this, in your view?
Gold is a shiny, dead rock. Sell it all. You really want to, if you want to elevate U.S.'s economic leadership in the world, there are two very simple strategies. Dump the gold and buy Bitcoin, because you simultaneously demonetize the asset held by your enemies. Who owns the gold, right? You just sell it all and demonetize gold once and for all, put a stake in its heart, and buy Bitcoin, and you get 25% of the Bitcoin network for free. Okay, free. But it's better, right? You could just print the money and buy Bitcoin and keep the gold, but it's so much more intelligent to demonetize your enemy's network and everybody else's network. You might as well drive gold from a $20 trillion asset to a $4 trillion asset, devalue the assets of gold held by every non-US entity, drive Bitcoin to the roof, and then have 25% of the Bitcoin network forever.
But let's not just talk about policy, let's talk about price action. Looking ahead to 2025, a massive move is brewing. My prediction, Bitcoin will hit at least 150K before the year is out. And beyond that, given enough time, we're talking millions. This isn't just speculation. Historical cycles, adoption trends, and market positioning all point in this direction.
I can stand here and I can tell you that I think the price of Bitcoin will go to 13 million over 20 years. And so Bitcoin is a commodity. Bitcoin is actually the commodity. I studied commodities in my early professional years. Every other commodity can be created with technology, with capital, with know-how. If you were going to take your family's life savings and buy a commodity to hold for 100 years, and you thought about it, would you buy soybeans or corn or oil or natural gas or lumber, coal, silver? Well, no, they're all awful, and you know why they're awful, because it's pretty obvious to you that 100 years ago it was harder to make those things than it is today. And if the price of oil goes to $1,000 a barrel, we're going to frack it, triple frack it, hyper frack it, and we'll drive the price of oil down.
Adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset isn't just a good idea, it's a necessity. Even the founder of Chainlink agrees, calling it a no-brainer. The momentum is undeniable, and seeing the industry unite around this vision is nothing short of groundbreaking. The future of crypto isn't coming, it's here.
So from the earliest days of the Bitcoin industry, it was called digital gold. From the very, very beginning, even in the 2010 period when I joined the industry, it was digital gold. The main reserve asset of central banks is gold. I mean, it's not that big of a leap. You have gold, you have digital gold. Frankly, people have kind of already adopted this idea that Bitcoin is a kind of scarce digital gold that, just like real gold, is inversely correlated with some forms of traditional system collapse or traditional system failure or risk. This is one of, or if not the main thesis of Bitcoin's value, is that it is a hedge against other traditional systems. Basically the same thesis that most people that buy gold have, is that it's a kind of hedge against various traditional system failures. I think it might not be as hard of a sell as it seems. The speculative nature of Bitcoin makes it more difficult. But gold also has a highly speculative nature. So I think there are already certain factors and ideas that are heavily in favor of this mental leap. And it might really not be as big of a mental leap. It might be more of like a mental jump. And at a certain point, a mental hop and a skip. That's probably where folks that see Bitcoin as a possible reserve currency would take this.